hightimetoawake.com presents High Time to Awake. Bible Prophecy with Craig C. White. Today we're going to look at the Antichrist checklist. Hello everybody, this is Craig C. White from hightimetoawake.com, and today I want to go over an Antichrist checklist. A lot of people are thinking that we're in the end times and they're wondering who the Antichrist is or if he's alive today. I want to tell you that he is, and that he is Turkish President Erdogan. So let's go over the checklist and check out Turkish President Erdogan. First of all, in Ezekiel chapter 38, verses 1 through 3, Ezekiel calls the Antichrist, or he calls a man named Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Now, Magog, Meshech, and Tubal were all brothers. They're sons of Japheth, who was a son of Noah. So they're all sons, and they all settled in Turkey. These are all provinces in Turkey. So Magog is the chief prince, or the most prominent governor amongst the provinces of what we call Turkey today. So in Ezekiel chapter 38 and in Ezekiel chapter 39, Magog, or the chief governor of Turkey, will lead two separate invasions into Israel. Okay, so the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal is the primary governor of the provinces of Turkey. And Turkish President Erdogan was the prime minister of Turkey for 12 years until he was elected as president of Turkey in December of 2014. So he definitely fits the description of a chief governor of Turkey. So I think that's a very big indicator of who the Antichrist is, or who Magog is in the very least. And in Ezekiel chapter 38, Magog leads an invasion into Israel. And in Ezekiel chapter 39, Magog, or the chief governor of Turkey, leads an invasion into Israel. But in Ezekiel chapter 39, it's the same battle as the Battle of Armageddon. So if Magog leads the Battle of Armageddon, then Magog is the Antichrist. Okay? That's just the first thing on our checklist. The second thing, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4, says that the Antichrist will oppose and exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So the Antichrist will at some point sit in a revived or rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. But before that, I think this verse is telling us that he will claim to be God. He will exalt himself as God or above God. So let's see if President Erdogan has exalted himself as God. Erdogan has already claimed to be God. His supporters have claimed that he's God. The Muslim religious rulers have claimed that he is equal to Allah. He has built a mosque, or is building a mosque. It's the largest one in Istanbul, with the highest minarets in Turkey, and it's dedicated to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. Only thing is, there is no Ottoman Empire now, but Erdogan has desires to be the Sultan of a revived Ottoman Empire. So he has, visions of taking over the world, or at least his part of the world. Um, there was a campaign in Turkey, in Istanbul, inviting the citizens of Istanbul to join in Turkish President Erdogan's holy birthday. Um, Political supporters of Erdogan, changed the Turkish national anthem to include the line that Erdogan always gets his power from Allah. All right, there is a campaign and an official recognition by Muslim clerics, by top Muslim clerics, that Erdogan is equal to Allah. So he has claimed it. The people around him have claimed that he's God. He fits the bill that he exalts himself as God. Okay, that's the second thing on our checklist. Let's see something else here. In Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, it says that um, even him, who you're talking about, the Antichrist, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Has Turkish President Erdogan presented himself as God using false miracles? Yes, he has. Uh, in probably April, probably February, is before the election. President Erdogan uh, was at a public rally for his AKP party before the election, and there was maybe 10,000 people there. There were a lot of people. It was an outdoor rally. A woman in the front of the crowd fainted, and a couple of people brought the woman up to Erdogan, where he touched her, and she immediately revived and started jumping around and dancing around and praising Allah. So in that instance, Erdogan allegedly healed the woman. Okay, so he performed public healing, which is very similar to what Jesus Christ did, but his were real. He made the blind to see, he made the lame to walk, and healed people of their sicknesses. So anyway, he's performed false miracles. There was just a couple of weeks ago. This is probably July 2015. Um, the AKP party and Erdogan's government um, changed a cathedral in an ancient cathedral in Turkey into a mosque, and they dedicated the mosque. And during the dedication, Erdogan released doves and other birds from a cage as a celebration or as a dedication. And a couple of them landed on his head. And it's been in the news. They're kind of entertaining pictures to see that. But they stayed on his head, and they had to, shoo him away after a while. But in uh, Muslim tradition, any person that has birds around them or birds following them, or that has a bird land on their head, that is identifying them as an important Muslim leader. So, if Erdogan and his AKP party made that happen in some way or did it on purpose, I don't know. But that is traditionally a sign that this person is, an important Muslim leader. So that's another sign. Is it true? Is it not true? I don't know. But there's one other sign I can think of. This is probably in November 2014. This is at a big rally before the presidential election. These are supporters of Erdogan in the audience, and there's tens of thousands of people in an auditorium. Um, Turkish President Erdogan, or who was prime minister at the time, gave a speech as a 9-foot hologram. So they had this prepared ahead of time. There was a lot of technology involved, and they projected this 9-foot image of Erdogan giving the speech, and it was fairly awe-inspiring to the people that were there. But if you ask me, that's another. It's using technology, but it's kind of a false sign to make him grander than he truly is. Um, and also, the Revelation talks about an image of a beast, or a beast is an empire or the ruler of an empire. It talks about an image being able to speak, and uh, I think that this projected hologram fits that description. So that could be the image of the beast. It says in Revelation that the false prophet will cause people to bow to the image of the beast that can speak, and again, that's a beast is represents the next world empire or the ruler of the next world empire, and Erdogan wants to be the sultan of a revived Ottoman Empire. Uh, Another very important prophecy, this is the next point in our checklist, uh, is that the Antichrist is likened to the ancient Assyrian kings. The ancient Assyrian kings invaded Syria and then invaded northern Israel. That was in 734 BC. And then about 30 years later, they came back and invaded southern Israel. So the Antichrist will do the same things that the ancient Assyrian kings did. They'll invade Syria and I think destroy Damascus, and then they'll invade northern Israel. Turkey has already sent troops into Syria in the last couple of weeks, and they've sent aircraft. They've bombed them with aircraft. They've lobbed missiles from the Turkish border into Syria. They're already fighting uh, inside of Syria. And this was probably a month ago, maybe the beginning of July 2015. Um, Turkey put 54,000 Turkish army troops on the border of Syria. That's a lot of troops. And they've also been uh, bringing in a lot of weapons since March. They've stockpiled a huge amount of advanced missiles and weapons, and have actually been handing them out to the Free Syrian Army, which is fighting inside of Syria against the Syrian government and against Assyrian President Assad. The Free Syrian Army is not made up of Syrian people fighting against their president. The Free Syrian Army is made up primarily of Al Qaeda from Libya. Al Qaeda invented the Free Syrian Army in Libya. They also invented the Free Egyptian Army. And I don't know if you've heard about them yet, but they invented that in Libya. They're Libyans. So Libya and Iran and Sudan are identified as troops that Turkey will lead into northern Israel. That's in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. All those nations are fighting in Syria today. As a matter of fact, Iran, or a rebel group in Iran, from Iran in southern Syria, has already been sending missiles into northern Israel, into the Golan Heights, and Israel has already retaliated, sending missiles back, and that was basically in the uh, middle of August or late part of August 2015. So, all the armies that Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5 says that Turkey will lead into northern Israel are already fighting in Syria. Some of them are already fighting against Israel. They're already lobbing missiles into Israel. The Turkish army is on the Syrian border with 54,000 troops. They're just about ready to go in. I think they're going to have they're going to march all those soldiers into Syria and really cause trouble. These are things that the Antichrist will do. These are things that are happening now. The ancient Assyrian kings did them, and Turkey is, just about to do them too. So that's another uh, point on our checklist to identify the Antichrist.
To read my full commentary, go to hightimetoawake.com. You may also contact me through the website as well as check out my new book. Thanks.